just do a brief overview, similar to what we've seen in other presentations, about what redaction is, when we might do it, and where we might actually perform the redaction process. And specifically, we're going to be focusing on client-side redaction within the browser, and some different ways of doing that, and some challenges there, and then talk about how PDFTron is working. So just some background about PDFTron itself. So initially, we started off developing a native toolkit. Initially, it was for Windows, basically C++ code base, etc. And what we strive for is really to target the entire document lifecycle. So document creation from scratch, or conversion from other formats, all the way up to sort of improving documents, like merging them together, adding form fields, stamps, etc. To everyday usage of those documents, things like viewing them, annotating them, form filling them, collaborating on documents, all the way up to finalizing them through redaction and through conversion to final formats like PDFA. As we've grown, we've ported our platform to various other architectures. So from Windows over to Linux and Mac, as well as mobile platforms like iOS, and EWP, and Android. And we also, for a long time, had a web viewing product as well that let us display documents inside of browsers and enable users to annotate and form fill. But recently what we've done is we've taken the native toolkit that we had on these different platforms and compiled that to JavaScript. So what that enabled us to do was to provide this same full document lifecycle functionality within the browser without users having to install anything client-side, without having to rely on NP API plugins, which are being deprecated everywhere. So as a result, we get really a full document experience cross-browser. So stepping back a bit, so what is redaction then? Well, redaction, we've heard this from other presentations today, like Patrick's earlier, but redaction is removal of parts of the page, of sensitive information from the page. That's part of it. And the second part, of course, is the retention of the rest of that page. So just removing content is very easy to do. You can just delete the page and you can just blow away the whole file, right? So that's trivial. It's keeping other information there that's really the difficult part. And kind of the idea of this presentation is sort of the power of the toolkit that we're using to perform the redaction, gives us the ability to retain more of that page. And the more power we have in that toolkit, the more we can keep around. So again, with redaction, when do we actually need to redact information from documents? So there are the more familiar cases with classified information, such as governmental documents that might contain military secrets, or inside the industry, there might be trade secrets that we want to remove before publicizing documents. Similarly, there might be legal reasons to remove information for privacy reasons during a lawsuit, so we're going to redact information from those documents. Or we may have security reasons for removing information from blueprints that might be dangerous if it's disseminated and potentially might lead to terrorism risks and so on. And then recently, some newer requirements due to regulations like GDPR, which gives the right to be forgotten to people. So now that we have to redact a lot more documents, where does that actually happen? So in the context of this presentation, we're going to be assuming that we're dealing with browser-based redaction, and that we're starting off with the document's existing client side. So I'm sitting on my workstation. I have a browser-based solution for redacting. What can I remove and what can I keep? And when I'm actually performing this, how am I going to be going about doing it? So I have the option of doing that server-side or client-side. If I perform the redaction server-side, that complicates matters quite a bit. So if I'm uploading sensitive materials that contain unredacted private information, now I have to worry about this new copy sitting on a server that has this private information on it. Is that crossing national boundaries? What kind of exposure does that create moving a sensitive material around? And in some scenarios, I might be employing end-to-end encryption, where the document starts off client-side and is encrypted, and when it's in transit or when it's on the server, it stays encrypted, and I will decrypt it inside of the client-side environment. So in that environment, how do I redact information server side from this document? Because it's encrypted. So falling back to client side then, well, how am I going to redact client side information if I'm, if this is a SaaS cloud solution where I'm not actually installing any software client side? So that client-side redaction then kind of depends on what's available to me inside of the browser. So what am I using to actually view this document, and what capabilities does it give? So if I'm just dealing with a very slimmed down toolkit that only gives me, let's say, viewing and redaction, or viewing annotations, then the most I could do would be to just draw an annotation rectangle over the content. And as we've seen from Patrick's presentation, that's very insecure. If you run such a document through a slow render, you can see the content rendered for the annotation, or that's true, it is a black rectangle inside of the content stream as well. So if I'm just viewing it on a slow machine, I can get that information again. And if I'm not really editing the underlying document, then that metadata contained in that document would be unaffected, so I wouldn't be removing that information. And another approach would be to rasterize the entire page and then redact it from the image. And so this graphic here is taken from Duff's presentation from the Mueller report, it's harkening back to the issues there from that kind of redaction, just reducing down to an image. Now you've lost vector content and text, and that loses searchability and violates 508 compliance. So the other option then would be modifying the original PDF document. But how do you go about doing that in a browser? Well, PDFTron's web viewer. So since we've taken our full-featured native toolkit and compiled it over to JavaScript, that means all of those capabilities are available there inside the browser. You can modify the original PDF document without having to transfer it up to the server or without having to install it in the client side. And it's true client-side redaction. You can go and edit the underlying PDF document itself. So you're actually removing information from the content stream rather than just obscuring it or covering it up. And the unredacted content is left the same. So we don't have to obliterate it and replace it entirely. Rather, we can just leave it as is, only removing the parts that we want to get rid of. And we can do things like remove PDF metadata also. So you can go in at a low level and change the XMP data or other metadata. If we can do things like modify fonts, like resubset them, that's possible as well. So rather than risk a live demo or anything like that, we just have a couple of screenshots here. So this is actually on our demo on our site. If you go to pdftron.com/webviewer/demo, you can try out some of our various features targeted to different use cases. And so we have a redaction sample. In this one, you could go and search for text and redact that. So that's, if you see sort of in the first half there, we kind of use text selection to select an area to redact. And that can be done automatically as well through text searches, including regular expression searches. And then this lower area here is where I've just gone in and manually drawn an area to be redacted from the document. And then after having redacted it, that's replaced with black rectangles. And then afterwards, if you'd like to try this out yourself, you can then download the redacted PDF copy and examine it for yourself in something like Acrobat Pro, and you can decide and see that the content is fully gone from the document. And of course, there are many more use cases beyond just redaction. From stamping to document assembly, essentially. The full gamut of workflows that we try to offer on all platforms. So thank you very much for your time. Appreciate it. And feel free to try it yourself.